A warm welcome and good afternoon to the audience and to the speakers of this breakout session in the event Indonesia, the third Indonesia Energy Efficiency and Conversation Conference and Exhibition. In the frame of that event, we are meeting today afternoon in Asia and in the morning time in Europe to discuss in these breakout sessions certain topics that are related with energy efficiency. And today's breakout session in the afternoon with number 1.2 is focusing on the industry sector. My name is Nils Warburg, and I have been invited to become the moderator of this session today. And with that welcoming remarks, I would like to our speakers that are joining today, finally the insight here in today's breakout session. So we have 4 speakers, as you have seen also in the introduction slides, and we will start with Mr. Tareq Emtairah, who is joining from Europe, from Austria today. So Mr. Tareq is coming as direct in the function as director of the energy department of UNIDO, a UN organization. And we will start the breakout session with the presentation of Mr. Tareq, who has long-term experience, more than 22 years in this energy efficiency sector, and also the ties to Europe are quite close, as I have heard and that I have learned. So with background also in the environmental economics in Sweden. So the insights of Mr. Tareq are warmly welcomed at today's session. After that, we go straight to the speakers of the other sessions. As second speaker today, we welcome Mr. Chen Kang Dan from ABB Sakti Industry, who is also coming with quite an impressive track record of experience in energy efficiency, especially in the automation, and who is also certified as energy manager under the Asian Energy Management Scheme, who will then introduce us the insights coming from his side. As third speaker, we have from the Indonesian authorities, Mrs. Emmy Suryandari, joining today. And now I took some notes because Ms. Emmy is the head of BBTPPI. So it's actually it's not BEDAN, yeah, it's Balai Besar Teknologi Pencegahan Pencemaran Industri. Yeah, so prevention of pollution actually in Indonesia. That is the background of this authority, of this governmental institution. And we learn about some insights coming from also from the authorities. And as fourth speaker, Mr. Brian Dean, joining us today from the Sustainable Energy for All Association, also linked to UN actually. So this is where we close the loop. And starting now with Mr. Tareq from UNIDO. Before I give the word to Mr. Tareq, just 2 sentences on the general rules of this session. We have a Q&A chat box. You find it on in the menu bar on the bottom. So for the audience, please also use this chat box to post your questions. We will collect the questions during the discussions, during this presentations, and discuss in a question answer session at the end of all speakers' presentations. And with that, having said, Mr. Tareq, the floor is yours to start with your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nils. Just wanted to confirm you see my screen well. Okay. Good morning and good day, good afternoon to wherever you are sitting. And thank you to the Indonesian Energy Efficiency and Conservation Conference and Exhibition 2021. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and an honor to share with you a few experiences from UNIDO. Just to give you a background context, I understand our topic today is, of course, on energy efficiency, but broadly also on the topic of Industry 4.0 and this convergence of Industry 4.0 technologies and how it makes a contribution to both improving industrial processes and manufacturing, but also create a low carbon transition pathways. And from that context, so I sort of wanted to share with you perhaps a UNIDO perspective on how do we see these linkages and opportunities. And as an outline, what I thought I would, at least in my brief introduction, to take you through at least four topics or four issues. One is at least how do we work at UNIDO with the whole linkages between Industry 4.0 technologies and energy. Some thoughts on the potential benefits and gains that we see from this convergence. Also share with you a little bit of the thinking on where do we see particularly some of the key challenges to scale up the leveraging these opportunities, particularly in emerging economies and developing countries. And finally, maybe where we can, from the perspective of a development partner, UNIDO, we can sort of partner with countries to create opportunities to both leverage the technologies, but also scale up adoption and utilization for what I call greater benefits, both to the local economy, but also from a climate point of view. Generally, at least in UNIDO, the topic of the fourth industrial revolution has been quite central to the work and picked up on the agenda of the organization in the last 5 years, where we see broad linkages to a variety of sectors and sectors and economic activities. For those that are not familiar, UNIDO as a UN agency, we're dedicated or focused from our mandate point of view to promote inclusive and sustainable industrial development. And the idea there is that industrialization is the path to create prosperity, shared prosperity, and also enhance inclusiveness within the development agenda. And if you see in this slide, the fourth industrial revolution technology is a broad range of technologies. We're very often talking about digitalization as one aspect and the leveraging of big data, but there are other aspects of it, also including smart manufacturing, the use of 3D printing and blockchain technologies, and a variety of other options that would help increase the what we call the smartness in the way we deliver solutions and technologies. And
recording stopped. Recording in progress.
And here we see the linkages, at least, between some of these technologies and different economic sectors. For example, in smart manufacturing, we are talking about smart value chain, supply chain, smart materials, product and services. In the agro-food, we're talking about precision agriculture, vertical urban farming, controlled environment agriculture, where the convergence of these technologies can facilitate. Increasingly, and when we talk about a green industry and circular economy, 4IR technologies should help us advance effective monitoring of material use, turning waste material into nutrients, elimination of waste. And finally, on the energy nexus, where this is where actually my department is focused quite from a topical point of view. The last 5 years, we have seen a momentum around the application of 4IR technologies, both in industrial energy efficiency, in the mobility sector, in the energy system, in the broader sense, for example, in the production of renewables and the management of grids. So there is a huge range of applications within the energy. And if I can sort of zoom a bit more on the energy side, the potential of digital technologies and digitalization and other aspect of the fourth industrial revolution and its application in the energy system can be sort of broken down into 3 areas. One, asset performance management, where you can have digital solutions for predictive maintenance with digital twins, asset productivity monitoring, etc. But also in the energy performance management for the system, from the transmission to the distribution, at least in the power system, technologies related to online energy management, energy performance dashboards, emission monitoring systems. As we move closer to the end-use sectors, then we start to talk about the applications for the optimization of energy use. For example, optimization of utilities and equipment loading, optimal dispatch, and a hybrid microgrid, virtual power plant, and dispatch optimization. So it's a huge range of opportunities and applications. So that's where there's a broad applications. In UNIDO, we have been working quite extensively with industrial energy efficiency, and we start to see, of course, the potential also of digitalization or digital technologies in improving energy performance of manufacturing processes. For example, there has been an increase talk about sort of the use of Internet of Things, where basically you connect production with information and communication technologies, you harness the capabilities of machine communicating with machines, and you manage production with flexibility, you improve productivity and efficient energy use. So this is where sort of the focus of some of the applications. I know that we will probably, some of my colleagues in the panel will get deeper into some of these discussions, but just to give you a quick example where industrial Internet of Things has been used in terms of improving industrial energy efficiency. So we have an IoT system for an IoT-based energy management system, analytics software platform. The software collect real-time data and analyze energy consumption and loss, along with key performance indicators, as per the sort of the energy management system that is the firm is using. You get the benefit of real-time alerts for energy threshold crossed, avoid penalties, and a variety of performance parameters that you gain. I mean, fundamentally, what is the issue here is that this convergence of digitalization and sensors technology and machine to machine communication would lead to efficiency gains, and eventually would also lead to emission reduction. And this is where ultimately the objective is to have a better performance and a better and a reduction of emissions. And cost saving and a host of benefits. In some of our projects, we have been, of course, piloting some of these solutions where you have, for example, performance optimization of, this is just a particular example where you can look at a discrete process like induction furnace and look at if you deploy an IoT system, maybe you can get an improvement of 15 to 16%. Performance optimization of an aluminum furnace using benchmarking, you can get an efficiency gain of another 30 to 40%. So the convergence of digital monitoring of systems can sort of gain a bit of improvement relative to sort of the idea is that once you deploy an energy management system in a firm, you already create a win opportunity. You improve the performance. In addition, when you deploy a smart system, you can even harvest more of that performance. So these are sort of the promises of the technology. Again, here is an application of an IoT system, air compressor system, and an air compressor system in a manufacturing facility, where you have a dashboard and you have online monitoring of performance, where some of the benefit gains have recorded around 20-30%. Perhaps also my colleagues in the panel can share further experiences. But this is what we observe, is that there is a net gain from the deployment of the technology relative to the cost of deployment. So this is also the advantages for firms to move toward integration of smart 4IR technologies in manufacturing for enhanced energy performance. Our challenge, of course, from our role as a development partner is that we wanted to create a space in which developing and emerging economies can benefit from these technologies, can sort of apply them and facilitate learning and technology transfer opportunities for manufacturers in different parts of the world to utilize. We actually convened a session not far off, just a few months back, as part of our convening activities within the Vienna Energy Forum to specifically explore the challenges of integration of sustainable energy in manufacturing and industry and increase the uptake of renewable energy and energy efficiency in industry and how digitalization and innovation can drive that. And some of the issues that came up in the discussion, we had an expert panel, some of the issues just I'm sharing with you, some of the thoughts. And these are also published on our Vienna Energy Forum website. So if you want to dig deeper, but we do see structural, a number of barriers for the scale up of these technologies, partly technical, partly structural, partly financial, and some are related also to awareness and perception of risk and commitment. So it's a broad range of issues that we need to tackle in order to us to scale up the opportunities for the deployment of 4IR technologies or digital technologies, IoT systems in manufacturing. Some of the even within that session, we have also sort of outlined some recommendations for policymakers and for industry to scale up and to create a better conducive environment for industry to work with these technologies. Some of them are related, of course, to financing, but also one thing that came out quite prominently in the discussion, digital literacy and the training of skilled laborers on how to really work with these systems, and often also the need for standards and protocols that sort of that governs the industry and the interoperability between different systems. From at least technology takeoff and transfer, many of the experts pointed out also to the issue of how, because this is also about data and data management and data privacy and data protocols. So there's quite a lot of homework to be done on the regulator side to look at these data. So these are some of the recommendations that we came out from our convening sessions on scaling up the opportunities for the applications of 4IR industries in industry. So this, basically brings me to where we can, as a development partner, work with governments on some of these opportunities. UNIDO, we're not a technology advisor per se. We are a development partner where we try to create opportunities for international collaboration and technical collaboration to advance an agenda, and particularly where we see opportunities. And again, here we see that that the benefits of integrating 4IR or scale the application of 4IR technologies in manufacturing are multiple. Both, on the one hand, they are related to efficiency and cost saving, but also on terms of low carbonization, sort of the whole drive for creating climate benefits and emission reduction. And fundamentally, it's also an opportunity to create new value chains within developing countries through innovation, suppliers, and developers of solutions in the local economy. The kind of programs we do are kind of structured around 4 areas of activities. We do quite a lot of technical cooperation where we partner with the government on a sort of a countrywide transformational program, being it sort of to tackle the whole sector, looking at the policy environment for industrial energy efficiency or the integration of certain technologies, as well as the value chain of skills and enabling environment to facilitate the adoption of that technology. So these kind of technical cooperation projects often also are built on availability of financing and twinning of partnership between donor countries and recipient countries. So we have quite a range of programs. I can just at the end share with you 2 or 3 examples of these kind of programs where we can mobilize even climate finance to accelerate the adoption of 4IR technologies. So we have worked with the Green, the GEF, the Green Environmental Facility, the Global Environmental Facility, and the Green Climate Fund to mobilize fund to resources for country-specific programs. Of course, we have an active role to promote norms and standards, particularly as they help create a level playing field among countries and promote best practices. UNIDO has been active in promoting or working with partners to facilitate, for example, the adoption of energy management standards like the ISO 50001. We have also the opportunity to work with governments on the area of research, knowledge, and policy advice. I'm showing here, for example, our recent report on the Industrial Development Report 2020, which has focused exactly on understanding how do we industrialize in the digital age, which provide an overview of the strengths and weaknesses of different opportunities in regions and geographies, and provide a more targeted sort of lessons on the pathway that countries can leverage some of these technologies. So this is where we can bring
1 minute to go.
Yes, this is where we can bring some benefits to the work. Just this is an example to show you where some of our projects, where our technical cooperation project have worked with the government on building what's called an early adoption learning cycle with some of these technologies. In Malaysia on the adoption of renewable energy, smart grid. This is another project where we were working in China, again funded by the Green Climate, the Global Environmental Facility on the integration of new energy vehicles on the grid. And the idea here is to create a dashboard that allows for vehicle to grid integration, basically reverse charging from the electric cars back to the grid through a district-wide system that is sort of smartly monitored and controlled. So these are just some examples. I wanted just to conclude by saying that we do see tremendous potential. I think there's a great benefit from these convergence of 4IR and energy. We have yet to see the opportunities to scale up adoption in emerging countries. And I think some of the issues can be tackled through international corporations, and we're there to work with you on some of these. I think I would stop here and back to you, Nils. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tareq. That was a very comprehensive overview, and I think that is also a very handy introduction into our discussion today. So with this overview coming from UNIDO, again, dialing in from Vienna, Thank you for that, Mr. Tareq. I directly hand over to the next panelist, to the next speaker. So Mr. CK is today introducing us a digital technology for energy efficiency in manufacturing with background of ABB company. And here is the floor is yours, CK. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon and good morning, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity for ABB to share these particular sessions. This is thanks for this special event. Okay, today actually this is correct. Mr. Tareq has mentioned it. In terms of energy efficiencies, they will have covered a huge coverage from generations to transmission and the usage itself. So today we have to pick certain topics to focus on it. So as you can see here, we are looking at the manufacturing and also efficiencies, and later on we can touch on the digital solution on this IoT. So before that, I just take a quick opportunity, a few minutes to introduce about ABB. ABB has operated in 4 business areas: electrification, industrial automation, motion, and robotics. Right? So first of all, we divided our business in these 4 areas. Yeah. And ABB in Indonesia, we has been operated more than 30 years in Indonesia. We have more than 500 employees. And as you can see, we have several locations located in the whole Indonesia as well. So here I go to the main topic. So as we discussed earlier, today in terms of transmission until the usage, right? In the industry areas, we have to look into it. Where is the most usage of the electricity used in the industry? So in the study, actually more than 40% of energy it goes to electrical motors. All right. Sorry, it's more than 40% of electricity that we generate overall. It goes to industrial cities, and from that, there are huge chunks of the electricity consumption used by motors. Okay, so there's 2/3 of them is already used by motors. So if we could save all this electricity, which means that we tackle the biggest problems already in the industry. Okay, so that is where we started today's topics. All right. So of course, in terms of energy efficiencies, we do have a lot of the motivation on it. Yeah, we can see that there are energies, security, delivery, energy price. There's a lot of benefits, as we can see from this chart. Yeah, but today we are not going to cover all of them. But very simple, basic motivations in terms of business could be saving on the operation cost, right? And also improve of the company profitability as an overall. But of course, in terms of environment point of view, that we actually every single energy that we save as a user that can contribute back to a huge energy saving on the power generation point of view. Yeah. Let's move to the. Okay. So today, one important context that we should recognize is most of the investment that we make in the industry is actually goes to energy consumption. Is 92 as much as 92% of the energy that we use is on the capex of equipment that we buy on the electrical motors. It goes to energy consumption. Because earlier slide we has mentioned that on electrical motors is consume most of the energies, right? Around 40% of the total energies that we have used. So, but the capex itself, the buying equipment itself is not expensive compared to the total usage of the energies that have been used. This goes to 92% of the total money or the capitals that we use for a single electrical motors. So which means that energy consumption of the life cycles consumption of the electrical motor is very important, right, in this case. Today, as a quick note, today we don't have the maps in Indonesia for electrical motor yet, but in many other countries, for example, in Europe, the maps has come to the IE3 motor at least. So as we can see, the old or existing motor that are having a low energy consumption is occupied most of the energy losses in our industry, because we back to the point that the total investment of the motor actually goes on energy. So that is the very crucial and very important element that we should move on, especially for Indonesia to achieve the low emissions or higher efficiency in terms of industrial manufacturing. And there's additional one notes that we only have, out of those motors, is only 20% of them are using variable speed drive. So what is variable speed drive? I have taken one quick note. In terms of usage, the variable speed drive is the we could say in simple, is a starter of the motor. Basically, it control of the motor speed. In conventionally, we use mechanical methods to control our motor's output. For example, if you do have a fan, we use a damper to control the fan. Or if we do have pumps, we will use the valve to control the flow of the pump. So by using the mechanical solution, we lost a lot of energy. So if we could change the options by using a VSD start motor, that we can reduce the speed of the motors, relatively we reduce the speed of the fan or speed of the pump, that we can consume as low as only half of only 1/8 of the power consumption. Yeah. We could reduce as much as 30 to 50% of every energy that we use. So this is a huge saving. So take examples that ABB since 2016, the numbers of drive that we sold, totally we could save already 490 terawatt hours. So it could be about 2 times of annual consumption of Indonesia powers that we use. All right. So this is a huge saving if we could improve on the application itself. Yeah. This is the rough idea of the saving by using the VSD. So how can we act as a world largest manufacturing for electrical motor and drive to support the local markets? Actually, Mr. Tareq also mentioned that there are a lot of challenges. One of his technical or structural challenges. We actually identified that issue as well. Therefore, we also prepare the particular page. It's simple to use. We call optimizer that allow everyone to just go in and select the motor that they need. All right. And there are efficiency report, and they also generate the cost of saving, cost of ownerships, how much cost that we could save by using the high efficiency motors. Yeah. So that are this is very practical and useful for every user. Right. Besides that, yeah, this is what I mentioned earlier. We also provide this value. You can key in the local consumptions, the tariff that we have, and how is our usage of the motors. Then we can create the savings. This is the rough report of it. So the lifetime saving equal to how many? 7,000. Take examples of 15.5 kilowatts motors that compared to high efficiency and low efficiency motors that we could save as much as 7,000, which is actually more than the motor itself. From the saving, we could make at least more than the motor itself. So in terms of financials, it is also a big jump and a saving and helping on the financial decisions. Right? So this payback is only 12 months that we can have our paybacks. That could help for the society to improve, to make the decisions. How can we make a right decision on selecting the correct equipments in the industry? All right. The next slide. So besides, we also offering the digital powertrains, digital solutions that referring to Industry 4.0, that our drive connected. We have the portals that connected all the from electrical motors to the starter, and until at the mechanical general machinery such as pump or bearings that we have. Yeah. So there are simple steps. First, we comprise of application, pump applications. Then we have motors, drive, and so on. I mentioned. We turn the data to the cloud. From the clouds, we can access the portal, and we can see the status on it. And then the fourth step is to make the advanced decisions, whether should we have a stop or repair, or how are we using our consumption and so on, so we can have the right information on time. So from that, this is also have been mentioned by Mr. Tareq just now. With this information, actually maintain our uptimes, physical uptimes. So that is a way of improving the consumptions of our usage. Yeah, that is the simple draw-ups, which is we can text the information from pump, from mechanical bearings, from motors, from drive. We go to the cloud, and then we can access from our desktop. Very simple to use. Yeah, these are the platforms. Like we can see how it relates to the current status. Yeah. So we also generate lots of different reports on the energy usage or on the efficiencies usage of the equipment. Yeah, it can be used from the internet as well, from the mobile phone as well. Yeah. So I also take this quick opportunity to introduce our portals. That actually we do have the portals for the user to update all their equipment into it. So that can be used to monitor the usage of the equipment, and also keep the files. Whether it's under maintenance or what. For example, these are the drive that we have in the portals. Is it still active when it was our usage? That can be linked together as well. Right. Finally, I would like to share several examples that we have made. In the steel mills, that we have the drive that connected online, that we can check the condition of the drive on times from real-time basis. And we also have the mixer for the tire making factories, right? Even our sensor actually is also for the safe area environment. So it can be connected to the chemical plant or oil and gas plant as well. Yeah. So these are the report that we can generate to find out these are some issues fault during operations. Then we can suggest for shutdowns to prevent the breakdowns. So these are the technologies that we should implement and suggest to implement, so that we can always maintain at the uptime. The plant efficiency can be maintained. It's not only at the equipment, but the whole plant efficiencies. So from that, we can also identify the equipment itself. Yeah. Here I end my presentation. Yeah, back to you, Neil.
Thank you very much, CK. With all these pictures in mind, yeah. So now it is quite impressive and clear in what direction that we are heading anyway, not only with the industrialization with Industry 4.0, but with these examples, indeed, now we have also pictures in mind. And can imagine now, actually, until the very end, how does the factory in the future look like, also in terms of organization and cleanness and so on. Yeah, so there's still a way to go. And thank you very much for these insights, especially with this focus on the praxis, yeah, with references and so on. So that leads us directly also, you mentioned several regulations, that leads us directly also to Ms. Emmy Suryandari, who will then present us the challenges and opportunities of green industries developments in Indonesia. Good afternoon to Jakarta, Ibu Emmy. Selamat datang. And now the floor is yours to give us your insights about these challenges from the authority side. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Neil, for the short and nice introduction. I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Emmy Suryandari. I'm head of Center for the Pollution Prevention in Industry. My location is in Semarang, Neil, so it's very close with Yogyakarta. So for this afternoon, I would like to representing from the Ministry of Industry regarding the opportunities and challenges for green industry development, taking action on energy transition in industrial sector. So I would like to start my presentation right now. So for the first slide, the next. So this is national regulation for the Indonesia energy transitions, and I do believe that all of participants already heard about this transition from the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, who have presenting this policy in the beginning of today. So basically that we have the abundant resource on renewable energy, and also we have the target also for the renewable energy mix in national energy, but there is something that we have to take into consideration when it comes to the industrial sector for the renewable energy utilizations. Next. This is, we also have the figure. As I mentioned, that industry use very big amount of energy, and from the data 2019, industry is the second biggest energy consumption sector in Indonesia. So it's around 36.64%, and we also have the study that industry have the potential for the energy saving in the rough figure 10 until 30%. So this is very big, huge potential, I think, for this case. But still, I always mention that potential will be just left as the potential if there will be no action from the industry itself, and also from the government, and also from the all related stakeholder to create from the potential become the action to be achieved as the target for the national. The next. Now, this is the policy background and measure. Of course, for us in the Ministry of Industry, we have many legally justification when it comes to the energy efficiency. So as we mentioned before, that also we have the law number 16, 2016 regarding the Paris Agreement ratifications. And also we in Ministry of Industry, we also have the law number 3, 2014 regarding the industry. We also have the National Energy Plan and National Energy Policy. This is from the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. And also we have the government regulation for number 70 in year 2009, energy conservation, and this is the status so far as I understand that it's still in the process of the revisions. Also, we have the regulation for the greenhouse gas emission reduction, both for the 61 and also for the 71. And the last one, we also have the program, what we call as the low carbon development. So this is the national program. And we can use all of this policy background as the justification for the industry to conduct the energy efficiency, because we have the target for the NDC 29 and 41%, and also we have the target for the energy mix for the new renewable energy 23% in 2025, and also we have the target for the energy efficiency for the industry is around 17%. So what Ministry of Industry has done so far in order to achieve the target? We have established for the greenhouse gas emission for the MRV system. And also the second one, we also established the modeling roadmap and guidelines for the energy efficiency and conservation, and also renewable energy for industry. And for the third one, we also have the pilot project for the implementations of energy management system and also for the energy optimization in industry. This is input for the waste heat recovery and also waste to energy. All of those effort that we already done from the Ministry of Industry, this is in order to fulfill Ministry of Industry role as the facilitator and also as the regulator. So we have to make sure that once industry will conduct the energy efficiency, they know that how to do it, and they know about the mechanism, and also they know about how the technical, which is maybe from the industry sector will have many procedure, many systems, because we're talking about the industry which has many type of the process industry. And we as the facilitator in Ministry of Industry, we also have many facilitations and also incentive for the industry to be green industry. We have one is for incentive for green industry. Incentive in this case, we will talking about the incentive fiscal and also non-fiscal incentive. The second one, we have also the Green Industry Award and certification, where energy efficiency and new renewable energy consumption is become one of the indicator for the industry to be awarded Green Industry Award and also to be called as the certified green industry. And the second and the third one also, of course, we do also the increasing the capability, increasing the human resource knowledge regarding the green industry. Yeah. This is just slightly very general information about the energy efficiency and conservation program in industrial sector. The first one, we have establishment through the ministerial regulation for the 28 green industry standard. And also the second one, we also doing the restructuring program machinery for the textile, footwear, and sugar industry, where the output we can achieve the energy efficiency 10 until 29.5%, and also increasing productivity to until 9%. This is kind of the facilitation from Ministry of Industry. The third one is we build up the energy conservation and also CO2 emission reduction in industrial sector. We have 8 guidelines. This is very completed about how the industry can do the energy conservation, about how the industry also conduct the energy management system, about how industry can calculate their achievement on energy efficiency and also to the greenhouse emission reduction, and also about how to do the MRV system for the greenhouse gases emission reduction. And the last one is, since we're talking about now the 4.0, everything has to be monitoring in very good way. So we also developing the information system for the reporting, not only greenhouse gas emission, but also for the energy efficiency. So we in the Ministry of Industry, we have what we call as the CINAS, the National System for the Industry. So industry can fill in their consumptions of the energy from their locations. And we in Ministry of Industry, we will correct and we will verify their achievement. Then we will get the figure about the progress in the yearly basis about the energy efficiency reduction about the energy efficiency in the industry. So this is very good tools for us to be always monitoring in the yearly basis. The next one. As the topic requested that for the green industry development, we have 5 key initiatives on green industry development. The first one is, as I mentioned before, that we have online reporting and verification. The second one is capacity building, training on conservation. So during 2011 until 2020, we publish and disseminate 34 technical guidance for the green management and practices. In this case is for the CO2 reduction, energy management system, renewable energy, and also waste to energy. And also I mentioned that we have 28 green industry standard, which is CO2 reduction and also renewable energy and energy efficiency are becoming the criteria for the green industry standard. We have 28 standard and we have 37 industry have been certified based on those standards. The fourth one, we have the Green Industry Award. This is the competition among industry in order to, they can doing the self-assessment on themselves about how big their achievement, and one of the indicator is for the energy efficiency. So when they achieve the energy efficiency around more than 10% from the previous year, then they will get the point. And I think this is very good also for the industry because they can assess themselves where their position, position among others, and also for the Ministry of Industry in order to really understand about the status or the progress, the awareness of the industry regarding the energy efficiency. And the last one is for the incentive and facilitation. As I mentioned, that to support and strengthening the implementations of green industry, we in Ministry of Industry, we are trying to propose any kind of incentive, both fiscal and non-fiscal for the industry. Next. This is the number, the rough number, efficiency from green industry implementation in industry. This figure we got from the Green Industry Award in 2009. It was attended by 145 plants actually in 7 sectors. And from that plants, we can calculate that they got the energy saving around 30.5 billion. And also for the efficiency of the water, also they have a very good number. So this is actually, we can prove to the industry that by doing the energy efficiency, actually they can save also the cost of production. This is the main purpose about how important the industry to conduct the energy efficiency. It's not for the government, but it's for the industry itself. So they can use the saving for the green investment or for the expanding their production or to build up the new facility. This is very good, very good example. Actually, I would like to show to all of the participants regarding the energy efficiency benefit for the industry itself. The next. This is the figure also. Of course, if we talk about the energy efficiency from the industry sector, we also can direct calculate for the greenhouse gas emission reduction. So we can take a look from this picture that if we talk about the energy, we have the direct energy and also indirect energy. For the indirect energy, this is mostly using from the PLN, our state-owned company for the electricity. And from the direct energy is because the industry, they burn the energy resources for their production process. So we can see from this that pulp and paper, they have very big greenhouse gas emission. But this is something that actually happen in the industry because they need the energy. Otherwise, they cannot process the production anymore. So this is very, 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 very rough figure about the situation for the greenhouse gas emission in industrial energy. The next. Okay, the next two slides, I just want to show slightly about what actually the industry can do for the energy efficiency, and some of the activities, some of the action are already done by the industry, such as for the cement industry is like for the increasing rate of the alternative fuels. So maybe all of us already heard about the success story of the cement industry in Cilacap, because they use the RDF from the waste, municipal waste, as the alternative fuel. And also we can take a look from the pulp and paper industry. They're successful for the use of the improving of boiler efficiency, and also from the fertilizer also about how they upgrading their technology from high pressure steam to the medium pressure steam. This is the things that I would like to share, that actually many things that industry can be done. Some of it we can call it as the low hanging fruit actions, and some of it also for the rest we can call it that they need for the investment in order to conduct all of the action we can see in these two slides. The next one. Next. This is the same thing, but from the other sectors, such as for the textile, food and beverage, chemical industry, and also glass and ceramic. The next one. Okay, this is the challenges and also opportunities for the energy transitions. We in Ministry of Industry, we are very aware that energy efficiency is a must. Energy efficiency is the lifestyle that industry has to adapt. But on the other hand, we also think that energy efficiency measures will be optimum when in line with the new and renewable development project. So if we just talk about the energy efficiency, then there will be in the, I don't know, maybe how many years in the future, then the industry will be stuck on that number. We cannot do anything more than the number unless the industry using the new and renewable energy. So this is very challenging actually for all of us to make it parallel, parallel between the energy efficiency and also the utilizations of the renewable energy. The second one is successful energy transition measure requires supports from the government. I think in this case, my interpretation is for the other government, from the other stakeholders, particularly in a kind of incentive for the industry. As I mentioned that industry have many roadmap. Actually, they have the roadmap, but not all of the roadmap can be done easily because it will need very investment. And in this case, there are the support from the government and also from other institutions, actually from the donor international, in order to support the industry can be implemented all of the roadmap that they already have it. The third one is for the energy efficiency and also for the renewable energy guidelines, and also technology roadmap and also best practice from government could significantly assist the implementations of energy transition in industry. So in this case, all of the policy, all of the technology, and also the best practice from learning from others, it will create the very significant impact for the implementations in Indonesia. Energy transition also needs specific capacity building for the stakeholder in all sectors to develop and implement energy efficiency projects successfully. And the last one is for the renewable energy development, since we have the target 23%. And actually industry can do the utilization for the renewable energy. But on the other hand, we have the homework actually about how to make sure that the supply side from the renewable energy development itself can be met the demand from the industry. This is quite challenging for us, how to make sure that supply and demand of the renewable energy will be met. One, it can be done. I do believe that energy efficiency in industrial sector can be achieved, the target as mentioned in the previous slide, around 17% for industry. The last one. This is I would like to mention about the future investment and collaboration that we could done for the industry. We can talking about the solar energy and bioenergy. This is very good challenges for us. This is very good tools for us. If we talk about how the energy in industry can be give the big contribution for the energy efficiency implementation in Indonesia. The second one is how the energy efficient industrial equipment can be used in most of the industry in Indonesia. The third one is about how industry can use the low carbon technology for their process of production in the future. And some of it already used for the industry right now, but still we need to replicate or to duplicate to other industry. And the last one is we have also in Ministry of Industry, we have the program for the electric vehicle. This is very one of the solution for the Indonesia actually to be more environmental friendly. I mean, because this is electric vehicle become one of our national program also, the priority national program. So this is for of this future investment and collaboration that actually Ministry of Industry will goes for the future. And I hope that all of the related stakeholder here in this opportunity, in this good forum, can have or can give their contribution in accordance with their sector in order to help the government to meet the national target in the future for the industry in order to make sure that energy efficiency implementation can be done in the proper way. I think that's all, Neil. So hopefully that I'm not running out of time. So thank you very much. So I will give it back to you. Thank you.
Terima kasih banyak, Ibu Emmy. Thank you very much. And I very much appreciated also your focus on the monitoring itself. We just can do savings and count savings if we know what is actually the baseline. Yeah, and this is what really is like a red line through all the presentations that we've seen so far. And with that, let us directly have the segue to the last presenter today in this breakout session. Mr. Brian Dean will give us an insight about the industry energy efficiency and cooling for all. So we focus a bit on the cooling technology, I guess. Brian, the floor is yours.
Great. Thanks, Nils. Yeah, and for those of you that are not familiar with Sustainable Energy for All, we're an organization that was born out of United Nations for supporting the achievement of Sustainable Development Goal 7, achieving sustainable energy for all. And so today I want to talk a little bit about both the energy efficiency side of the industry and industrial sector broadly, but then also dive in a little bit deeper on the cooling side. So hopefully you'll all find that interesting. So first I'll start off with energy efficiency in industry. And there is a new group that has come together called the 3% Club. And through this club, what has come together is a bunch of organizations that are really looking to help support achieving Sustainable Development Goal 3, or sorry, Sustainable Development Goal 7.3, and that is energy efficiency. Originally, that was set out to be doubling the rate of energy efficiency improvement, as you can see on the right-hand side, from 1.3% to 2.6%. But we have been behind pace, and so now we need to accelerate energy efficiency action even faster. And of course, what you can see is that during the pandemic, the rate of improvement dropped even more dramatically. Well, why is that? Well, it's a combination of GDP, so the economic growth of our countries or globally, and the energy that's used. So with industry, we're in a unique situation where if you're able to save energy, that ends up increasing profits for industry, which ends up increasing the incomes there. So there's sort of a double benefit to industry, which is why we often find industry is usually ahead of the game in terms of achieving energy efficiency compared to other sectors. That's great, but of course we have a lot of work to do globally, which is why the 3% Club has come together. Really the goal of the 3% Club is to elevate energy efficiency throughout all of our global agendas, our commitments, our strategies, but also to support energy efficiency. And this is what Tareq was talking about a lot from the UNIDO perspective. They actually do support countries and making sure that energy efficiency standards are put in place and the right strategies, and pushing towards the right investments. And of course, that's where that third batch comes in, invest in energy efficiency, and making sure that bilateral funds, say from another government to Indonesia, or from the Green Climate Fund or the Global Environment Facility, that these are available and actually being used for the right projects, and projects that are increasing energy efficiency. UNIDO has actually received funding from the UK government to actually support Indonesia. And so this is an interesting project that is just starting up, and it will be actually to support 4 countries and drive energy efficiency progress across the country. And so you can learn more about 3% Club at 3percentclub.org. The other part of the 3% Club, the reason this came together is because we have a series of what are called energy efficiency accelerators. And UNIDO actually manages the industrial energy accelerator, and there's energy efficiency accelerators for other sectors as well. So if you're interested in buildings or transport or appliances, there's other energy efficiency accelerators available for those, and of course district heating and cooling as well. So the industrial energy accelerator, though, pushes for those areas that Tareq had mentioned, particularly ISO 50001, policy design, and finance and investment, all of those. But they actually have a series of knowledge toolkits as well that I think would be useful for this conversation as well. So there's motor-driven systems, energy management systems, industrial heating, industrial cooling, and as Nils had mentioned, this measurement, energy performance measurement is something that has gone throughout everybody's conversations. This Industrial 4.0, its data and benchmarking is really critical to actually improving the efficiency across our sectors. So beyond the 3% Club and the energy efficiency accelerators, which we are really focusing on from our energy efficiency team, we have partners that are working on the more challenging issues. And in particular, the Mission Possible platform is an organization. It's a partnership that's come together to look at the hard to abate sectors. And if you look at the 4 on the right hand side, you'll see that there is groups that have come together for aluminum, concrete, for chemicals, and also for steel. And the interesting thing, the reason I wanted to bring this up is because it's pushing further. And this is really pushing towards net zero emissions across these 4 heavy industrial sectors. And of course, across shipping, aviation, and trucking as well. But if you have not been involved with this yet, I think it's important to look at how they're looking for achieving net zero, because of course, energy efficiency needs to be a key part of that for the industrial sector. Hopefully that is useful for you as well. Now, on the cooling side, I want to dive in a little bit deeper instead of those broad partnerships, and talk a little bit about how cooling is really helping to support our goals. And of course, we believe that sustainable cooling actually can help improve really all of our sustainable development goals, but in particular, these 10, it has a pretty direct link to it. And, you know, you'll see that, you know, in terms of sustainable energy, of course, it's reducing the energy use, but also increasing worker productivity. And Emmy had mentioned that in Indonesia, the textile industry is one of the largest energy using industries, and it's a big industry in Indonesia. And there's a great project that has been working on cooling associated with clothing manufacturing and textiles. And one of the Million Cool Roof Challenge teams has actually proven to reduce the indoor temperatures during manufacturing clothing to be able to reduce it by 10 degrees. So what does that do? Well, that actually increases worker productivity, increases profits, and then of course that helps improve the global rate of improvement or the rate of improvement on energy efficiency in that facility and certainly in the country as well. So sometimes it's little projects like that you might not think of as being, okay, that's an industrial issue, but just by putting on a cool roof on a facility that might get too hot, and in fact it showed that even with 30-degree outdoor air temperatures, indoor temperatures can get closer to 40. So by reducing that indoor temperature from 40 back down to the upper 20s is a real big benefit for actually having worker productivity. And of course, we see that across other sectors as well, particularly you know, education in terms of learning outcomes, which obviously has long-term social and development benefits. So for our cooling work, we've come out with a campaign called This Is Cool. And in this campaign, we're really looking to push the story to a more understandable, you know, tweet size, short message size information. And on the right-hand side, you see the cold chain for, well, whether it's medical or food. There's a cold chain that you know, has an industrial segment to it, and by using data, we can help track the temperatures of the cold chain itself, whether that's be food or vaccines, as it may be, and having that cold chain intact from, you know, point A to point B, all the way to the end of the cold chain. So we find that data is incredibly important. But also making sure that we have the information to know where we might need, you know, cooling for that matter. But you know, portable shading is another one in terms of the agricultural sector. Certainly, having farmers able to keep productive throughout their day, having a place to have a lunch, and not have the heat stress, and actually to increase their productivity as well, is another part of this broader industrial productivity. So at SEforALL, we track sustainable cooling and you know, access to cooling itself. And this particular map shows the access to cooling for high-risk urban and rural poor. And those are the populations that oftentimes cannot afford to have their own cooling devices. And of course, we find that there's over 1 billion people globally, 1.12 billion people globally are at high risk. In Indonesia, it's about 48 million based on the numbers that we have. Now, it's not as bad as many countries because you know, much of the Indonesian population is out of the urban and rural poor populations, but still we see Indonesia as being one of our critical 9 countries where we'd like to make progress on cooling. And as you can see here, if you look Indonesia is the fifth one over. It really is, it's at lower middle income is the majority of the Indonesian population that it's risk. Now, this relates back to the industrial sector in that the lower middle income are often the population that's buying the air conditioning technologies that are developed by the local industry and or imported from industries from other countries. So import policies play a big role here, and the technologies that are available in the market, the minimum energy performance standards, they all play a role as to what that lower middle income will invest their hard-earned rupiah on. And if the minimum energy performance standards are not keeping pace with best available technologies, then this lower middle income is at risk of spending more money on air conditioning and more money on refrigeration and the entire food chain that goes along with it as well. So there's a whole sequence there of what people are affording and how it is that industry plays a role across the cooling sector, you could say. So we've broken it down into three different categories. There's comfort and safety, there's food and nutrition, and there's health and care. And across all of those, we see that industry's process for supporting this is, number one, to protect vulnerable populations. What does this mean? Well, this means having technologies that are available, having resources that are available, whether it be a service or a technology that protects vulnerable populations, making things more affordable and making things more reliable. But also to work on reducing the need for active cooling solutions, shifting to more sustainable technologies, improving the efficiency of those technologies, and then coming together. And industry has a real big opportunity to come together and have everybody working under the same standards and actually enabling things like bulk procurement. And if industry is able to enable bulk procurement, well, guess what? That optimizes the manufacturing process, reduces the cost of the more efficient equipment, and reduces the energy consumption and climate emissions in the long run as well. So we see this as a five-part optimization cycle that industry plays a key role in. But what are those pillars that we use then? Well, there's technologies. We're making technologies, we're selling technologies, and we're using those technologies. Services, such as cooling as a service, policies, and financial. I'll just quickly go through just a few of the slides. I already mentioned a passive technology solution, which was the cool roof on that textile facility in Indonesia. But there's also obviously technology solutions, and in particular, making sure that, again, this is part of this Industry 4.0, making sure that we've got technologies that can more have a smart function to control, make, store, move, and use cold or removing heat as it may be. And of course, being smart enough to use the energy more efficiently as well. So having technologies that actually know when renewable energy sources are available is an even more efficient and smarter way of tying a technology to the energy grid. On the services side, I'd mentioned cooling as a service, but also, big industrial processes on this district cooling and cold chain, and making sure that we have cooling available at incredible efficiencies and low climate impact as well. Monitoring and evaluation, of course, is a key management of cooling, and that's obviously links back to having the proper data and being able to use that to then optimize systems and the overall use of cooling. So for information policies, obviously in the digital age, we now have the ability to disclose, how products perform, and we think it's incredibly important that consumers know the efficiency of those products. So in addition to the disclosure, there's a certification of those technologies, and then the labels themselves. But industry can go beyond that as well with the voluntary standards, and industry players that can actually tell their consumers how much energy is used to create a product, or tell us about the climate impacts. That's going beyond, and that's actually having improved sustainability standards as industry. So with that, I just want to point you all to our Chilling's Prospects series, and we just launched it a couple weeks ago, and so you'll see a broadcast on YouTube for that, but also on our website. And so with that, I'll hand it back over to Nils, and thank everyone for listening.
Thank you, Brian. And again, greetings to Vienna. This is how we close the cycle. Yeah. So starting in Vienna and also closing with a speaker from Vienna, dialing in from Vienna at least, with these insights now also more the holistic picture. And what I can see with all the 4 presentations coming from different angles, different aspects in regards of energy efficiency, in the end, it always turns out this is for your own good. Yeah. So now we heard, Brian, in your presentation that also this is a social aspect actually. Yeah. Until the temperature, the labor working in the industry, in the factories, suffering from hot temperatures due to poor roofing or just not appropriate building technology, which is actually state-of-the-art technology. So it's not inventing the wheel from the beginning, but often we see this is state-of-the-art. So after having heard about these different angles now, we have a couple of minutes left at least. We have a time slot until 6 p.m. afternoon in Jakarta, or in Indonesia, Jakarta time. And so let us use the remaining minutes so that we can also at least discuss a few questions. I took a note on hundreds of questions I could discuss here, because it was a very interesting view on many, many topics here. But let us focus on the holistic picture first. There was one question coming in the chat box. Meanwhile, I want to pick up that question because it's also for sure in the head of many potential applicants here. For the question and answer round, I would like to ask all speakers also to switch on the video again, so then we can point out the question and give it to each of you or to the respective speaker. The holistic picture, I think, first of all, that is going to Brian and Tareq. Like when we have somebody still a bit confused about where to start, where shall I start with all these different aspects? We heard about motors, we heard about cooling technology. What is the first step to take to sort out somehow the big picture and to move forward? Maybe Brian first, you, and then I will hand the question to Tareq.
Okay, sounds great. From my side, I think it's pretty simply, it's information. So, we heard about MRV, and if we understand our baseline better, we're going to understand how to move forward with Industry 4.0. And I think Tareq probably has more to add specifically on the industrial energy management systems as well. But information is really, I think, the starting point for me.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, Tareq, some additions from your side.
Yeah, no, thanks, Nils. And I think Brian captured it. I mean, essentially, I was speaking at the level of the firm. So if an industrial facility wants to start, I mean, the baseline is exactly to build that information baseline. And the way we have been promoting it and motivating firms is that to start with a systemic approach to understanding the energy flows in the facility, and where are the biggest or the low-hanging fruits to work on. And so some facilities might see an opportunity in the heat area, others in the motors. And I wouldn't recommend for an enterprise-wide deployment, because unless you have the resources, but to create pilots and experimentations with a few of the energy consuming systems. But that's at the enterprise level. I mean, I think if we want to scale it up to a national policy, that could be another conversation, but I'm not going to take the time for that now. So back to you,
Okay.
Nils.
Thank you, Tareq. Yeah. So again, we come back to the main question: what is the benchmark? What is the baseline? And don't be afraid of like evaluating in the first place, and to sort out the picture. For sure, in the beginning, everybody is then not familiar with this topic in the first place, but it's a way to approach this huge field of possibilities. Actually, then we heard about all these possibilities and more in details, more specifically, the huge power consumption of the motors in all these factories worldwide installed, also in Indonesia. And myself, I've seen many factories also here in Indonesia or in other countries in the region. I can confirm that some of these motors have seen different ages that I haven't seen myself in the whole lifetime for sure. And I guess there are more efficient motors available. So actually, CK, what is the main, obstacle when you promote also this total cost of ownership that you have shown, which is actually clear, should be clear to everyone. So what is your, from your perspective, the main obstacle to convey this message and to finally implement this kind of improvement, which is paying back anyway in a short period of time?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Actually, for Indonesia, I would say it's more acceptance, widest acceptance at the moment. I remember 5 years ago when I started to implement promoting this high efficiency motor in Indonesia, my comment was received as like incredible, not now and so on. But today we receive a lot of inquiry asking for high efficiency motor. So I'm very glad for the developments that we have in Indonesia, to be honest. Even up to the IE3 motors, there's a lot of customer asking. But generally, we're facing a general problem is the financial view. We need to get the buy-in from the top management. Yeah, of course, the engineers, they understand the technical sides, but sometimes they could not explain. That's why I take this opportunity to share the simple templates, create it and share to the boss. Hey, look, 12 months. So that is easy message to the top management. But I'm very happy that I can see the development over here. Actually, it's a good development in Indonesia. I'm strongly confident on this area.
Okay, so you see an increasing awareness at least about the need to improve in that direction, and not improve just because companies and factories are forced by the authorities. We have seen there are many regulations,
yes,
but it's again for your own good, right? It's like paying back anyway. It's you're investing with a little amount of money compared to the overall factory, but in the overall process, but you're investing in your own profitability and the efficiency of the whole production facility. So in the future, yeah, that is, thank you very much, CK, for that answer. And then we actually have also seen the view of the authorities. Emmy has given us several aspects, also the challenges we have seen. So with all the regulation, Emmy, that you have mentioned now in these in your slides, I just want to pick up this one example, these maps, the minimum energy performance standards. When we talk about motors, for example, do you already have the answer why this kind of standard, as one example, is not implemented in Indonesia?
Yep. Neil, I think for the motors, as I know that motors is the common equipment which is used for all of the industry in Indonesia. And for the minimum energy standard, I think from the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources also, they also work on the set up the standard for all of the equipment, which is motor is one of it. So basically, as I mentioned, that actually once the industry has the awareness, as CK mentioned, that now the awareness of the industry regarding the energy efficiency is increasing. once they have the understanding about why it's very important to conduct and also to set up the motor, which is in a very efficiency way, of course they will do it because they will get the benefit. And I think this is very good, good motivation. This is very good movement for the industry when it comes to the something which is efficient. And motor is one of it. And I think all of the industries, as I mentioned, they all have the actions about how to use the motor in efficient way, about how to use the motor with the specific specification which is met to standard that already regulated by the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources as our national coordinator for the energy issue in Indonesia. I think that's all, Nils, that are the things that I can share about the industry when it comes to their awareness about the energy efficiency, particularly for the motors equipment in industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibu Emmy. Yeah. So anyway, we have seen that also you presented again the holistic picture, auditing the whole factory process, and then just picking the factory owners. They know the lowest hanging fruit then, or should know where is the lowest hanging fruit, and if it's a motor, then invest there, or if it's something else, well, you just give them the overall frame, and that is also pretty much the proper way to go, I guess. So if you allow me one more minute, because there's one question I also would like to mention. This is to Tareq, actually, which always has been discussed, and this is not a technical one, but you mentioned social aspects of energy efficiency in one of your slides. And that is also a concern that I often heard here. So the concern regarding job security once these high efficient technologies are implemented. So high efficient industry 4.0 is equal to like automatic production, no need for so many labor anymore in the factory. Is that a concern that you often face? And then how to actually encounter those concerns?
Indeed, yes, it is a concern, and we cannot just dismiss it. The fact that increased automation might create concerns for jobs, for particular jobs, but the sort of, we have to see it in a bigger historic context. There has always been, of course, displacement, but also there has been opportunities to create jobs in complementary technologies and other fields. And that's where the government policy comes into place to make sure that there is, first of all, programs for reskilling, for training, but also that we don't leave anyone behind in the transition. I mean, this is also a big concern in other economies where you have, especially when you're looking at conventional energy systems, huge workforce in conventional energy, and you want to move to renewable energy. So you have to be wary of bringing the labor with you and the skills. So the two aspects here is that the government needs to be attuned to the opportunities for reskilling and training. But the second dimension is that many of these technologies create also spin-off opportunities for innovation and for new enterprise creation. We have been running what's called the Clean Tech Acceleration Program in many emerging and developing countries, and we see tremendous opportunities for entrepreneurship, new jobs to be created around energy efficiency, around clean technology, and the deployment of innovative digital-based solutions, where some of these companies are emerging in countries like Thailand, Indonesia, Morocco, South Africa. And some of these companies can also become fast-growing companies with exporting their technologies to a broader community. So the innovation and the job creation potential in this sector is quite promising, and we see quite a tremendous opportunities there for countries if they also align with what I call the innovation, the ecosystem around innovations to support the nourishment of entrepreneurship and innovators in this sector.
Thank you, Tareq. That is somehow a positive picture also for the future to see this tremendous potential in every aspect, also the social aspect, if you just look one step further. And let us close the session with a few minutes ahead overtime. That is on my bed, but anyway, I guess everybody enjoyed this session with all these valued speakers inputs that we have seen here. So let me thank you also on behalf of the organizers of this event, to each of you to dial in for this breakout session, to give your insights, share your views on this interesting topic. And with that, I wish you a very nice evening in Asia or a nice day ahead in Europe. And thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you, Neil. See you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nils.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you all.